Hi there. Been a long time. I checked YouTube Studio. It's been at least 40 days at this point. So I'm here. Your good old friend, or maybe just someone that you care to watch regardless, who knows? I've been wondering about some things. I think there's this irony in how I've been having some doubts about introspection. Namely, I wonder where introspection truly comes from. And what I mean by that is, well, I'm going through this sort of process where I'm making myself to be more and more independent as time passes. I am escaping my chains. I am escaping my headlock, as I have deserved to breed all along. And this process, it has controlled me many times before, I feel, although not to a literal point where, for example, someone whose arm or leg moves on its own, or someone that cannot literally control their movements. It's not been that bad. I'm walking by myself, I am moving by myself, but am I speaking by myself? Well, that's a different matter. And I've noticed it more and more that there are these spastic freakouts that don't really show up on YouTube for me. They don't really appear in front of other people as well, other than sometimes in my room I will speak a bit too loudly and someone might overhear or something. But the point is that I've been wondering, words, where did they really come from? What creates the inspiration that creates dialogue and speaking in the first place? If you are to argue that words are planned in advance, which I think is it sounds like a silly idea to say the least, in a sense, because, well, it depends on what I mean by that. The literal scripted format applies to film, and it applies to prepared dialogue. The scripted format meaning the written lines, and the preparation can lead to polishing the result. See, I think that the thoughts are things to consider in this sense. Because thoughts, they're working within the mind, but what if thoughts are fueled by energy? They're fueled by energy that radiates our consciousness into a energized, into a passionate perspective. And I have noticed that at the very least my voice, it's gonna sound strange, but I've noticed that sometimes when I speak words, it's almost like I don't say the last letter of the word, and then it all just kind of blends together, and it's as if I'm reaching for the last letter of the word, and it does pronounce itself for the most part, but it sort of cuts off a little bit. It doesn't really finish as thoroughly as I would think. I've wondered, Under the basis of a scripted voice, meaning a voice that is artificial, that you are controlling using your will instead of your throat, and your throat is merely an accessory to the voice, then maybe the point is that words are therefore superficial, simply or guise. The words are what we feel we want them to be, but they're what we feel we want them to be, but what creates that instinct? Well, you could say it all revolves around creativity in the first place. And creativity is the fuel inside of you that allocates you to be original and be inventive. It is basically, simply put, it is what allows you to create. And you can argue that any work of art, such as any prolonged speech, such as even, anything that communicates, anything that is communicated thoroughly, anything that summarizes an idea or a concept, anything that is communicating a revelation or you get my point. Like, it's harder to say it regarding just cool or good or great, just for it to truly be creative, it has to be, expressing something significant. But past that point, I mean, what's the real difference between a poetic speech and a written and written poetry, for example? I have extremely creative conversations with my friends, for example. I'm the exact same guy as I am in these videos, because one theme of this trip of mine of the last 5 years, this mental undertaking, this mental trip, is that society clued onto this hunch with me that I am a faker, that I don't genuinely appreciate what I say, because, well, you tell me, I don't know. But I guess it would be because they felt that I was too unrealistic in my portrayal of my own self, for whatever reason that may be, because, well, plenty of people are introspective, Me and my friends, we have very amazing conversations when we do chat, do video chat especially. Very enlightened chats that kind of turn me on. I mean, mentally they turn me on. They rock. I only really have a friend if they're like that. Otherwise there will be perhaps we would have chatted a few times. Perhaps I would have seen them, but they wouldn't really be my friend. My friends, they are sweet people that are on my vibe, on my level, and you feel it from inside of their hearts almost. It reminds me of when I'd be with my psychiatrist. Every single time it was like these vlogs I just talked to non-stop. Maybe my second psychiatrist, maybe my first. I'm remembering this. This is from quite a while ago now. I mean, this is from back when I was maybe 19 to 21 or so. I would have these big chats with my psychiatrist, and she told me, she was like, she said, are you preparing for your speeches? And I'm not sure what I responded. I can tell you this. I don't comprehend preparing. But I do recognize that sometimes I need a pause before I record a video. So I must be preparing in a way, which links to the first point. What is introspection? What is thinking? What is spontaneity? Spontaneous ways. What are they? Maybe it's all formulated regardless, is what I thought. As it works from within, but collaborates with the outside. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because I've noticed that in my, this one time, okay, I'll just be completely honest about it. Because I have dealt with a struggle that has turned me more mechanical. Okay? Because it's the only way I could survive this struggle, I became convinced. Because this struggle, it outpaced the natural basis. It resided in the existential realm. It is a simulated struggle. And it is due to the fact that I was rapping and my voice just kind of like sketched out on me. You wouldn't really understand what I mean because you didn't hear. But it made me convinced I was some sort of robot, just with very genuine intentions and a will that formed its own basis. Before then, formulating my wants and my needs through the artificial measure. I am not saying this as a means of discreditment. Rather, it is important that a person can optimize and capitalize upon their thinking and their wants and needs fruition. So in that sense, it is really a important thing to recognize that even if this is true, it still doesn't mean that you do not have your own say. It just means that, well, maybe your hand was held, maybe my hand was held, maybe, our hand was held by a helpful element that helped put it together into words. And the point is that we develop our own ideology, we develop our own basis of being, and then the rest forms itself through the helpful measures. And then the brain matter, it is the puzzle that is to be solved through the observations of the brain matter and noticing how the enlightenment of certain parts of the brain correlate to how your own self works, But yeah, my voice, it just like I was rapping and my voice just sketched the fuck out for like 5 seconds. It completely sketched out. Like he was running on a tape recorder or something like that. And it started glitching out. And my voice started glitched out while I was rapping. Sometimes I've spoken and my voice has glitched out on me as well. But that's happened, not so severely, but it's been as bad as a word will cut out and a word will add itself in, I have suspected it to be the very somber work of those that have observed me, of those that have observed me and that have grown to want to intrude upon my organism. I think I am defending myself in this prospect. In fact, I think I am definitely defending myself. They want to overwhelm my being so that I don't just defend myself anymore. So I don't decide for myself anymore. In that sense, what I'm dealing with, it's undoubtedly nefarious. It's very nefarious indeed, but maybe it paints itself within a bigger picture where plenty of beings are suffering all along, plenty of people are suffering all along. Then I want you to envision that maybe in their hatred is a build-up. And I want you to ask yourself why. How could it be that there could be this hatred for someone when you're not experiencing their lives? Well, maybe it's because they affected you, or maybe it's because they said something shady, or maybe it's because they did something terrible, or maybe it's because, there's plenty of potential reasons. Hell, there could be plenty of reasons to hate me. I mean, you don't have to experience a person's shoes to have reasonings to dislike a person, but what's always been problematic about disliking someone is that at some point you have to wonder, is it rational or is it irrational? Is it really founded upon the basis of logic, or is it founded upon the basis of pettiness and anger and dissent without any actual justification other than a personal struggle? Because, I've been told a thing or two by people that I didn't even know at all, knew very little, that were near me. I've been told a thing or two. I started suspecting that the world, it knows me. It knows me too well. I've talked about this before, I believe. A few times at least. The concept that I am seen even though I am not really there in front of other people, I'm seen by other people. Mentally, they would experience me, in my perspective, and they'll grow some kind of hatred for it, some kind of disliking. This would be seen as a normal under the logical pragmatism of the matter because, well, some people have made something out of themselves, very few really, are known worldwide in a way or another, known by a lot of people, preferably. That would be seen as a lot more rational. I wondered, what if it's a sort of chess game where people are allocated the right to not only breed, not only live, but thrive? How would have God set up the world? Well, maybe he did it on the basis of loving others, or maybe he did it on the basis of simply adhering to the natural will. And the point there is that, or probably the point is that there must be shadiness. If God created the world and envisioned the people, there must be shadiness because not everyone is happy. And what that means is that, yes, you are bound to deal with struggles, but the struggles go too far, that's clear. I mean, some people are inherently depressed, some people are anxious, some people are schizophrenic, some people have multitudes of disorders. I'm trying to, my grandmother deals with Parkinson's, I think she said. I'm kind of nearly falling a few times myself here and there. Sometimes it is hard to maintain my balance, right? And I'm very young. It's kind of a shame. I'm still 27. So there must be shadiness in it. I mean, we will romanticize God and we will vilify a demon, okay? Like a demonic presence versus a godlike presence, or simply godly presence. We will praise God unanimously as being a holy entity, such as we will vilify the demonic entity. But for God to have envisioned us all means that God expected us all to be this way. And you notice how people get screwed over daily. I mean, it happens a lot. People are being shot on the street for no reason. I mean, we could be 100 times more peaceful. Even though the grand majority of people, they behave well. All it takes is one apple, or one apple on that tree to be rotten, for the whole situation to turn around. So I've been wondering, how is that possible unless either it is all natural and there is no godlike intervention in the world, or it was meant to happen this way? And if it is meant to happen this way under the basis of, spiritual intervention, which a lot of people argue is the case, then how can God be solely pure? How can God not have a mischievous side, right? I mean, I know it's an unpopular opinion. I've spoken of those many times before. So I think that it's very programmed in our minds to want to hope and to want to believe in a prosperful happiness, or at least something to hang on to that tells you that it will be okay in the end for you, and so on, and you will awaken into heaven and all that. There's an interesting point to be made in how if enough people ended up in heaven, it might be capitalism in there. There might be capitalism in there. There might be murders in there regardless, because, the people that have murdered in the first place. So unless heaven would heal you, suit your mind into making you into a better person, how could heaven not be filled with crimes as well? See, the point is that as people, we form society, and society has problems. So I want you to figure the rest out with that. Really think about it. Maybe the point is that if there are so many people struggling, if over a third of people deal with mental health problems, if even more people, or as many people at least, deal with physical health problems that worsen them. I mean, I was looking at this Reddit post. This guy that lived in an iron lung his whole life. Probably the saddest shit ever. I mean, for people to be screwed over that badly, that means that he couldn't move. He was bound to a machine just to survive. He couldn't move. Otherwise, he would suffocate. I felt like a pragmatic dick for thinking that it's wonderful that he wants to keep his life, but I wouldn't. I was telling myself the truth about myself. I would give up, or probably at least. I mean, the point is that you're more than paralyzed. In a sense, you're simply paralyzed, but you're bound to a room. You cannot do anything with yourself. You cannot truly experience life. You cannot move around. I've always thought that paralysis would be so horrible that I might want to do it. I might want to just end my life. And that's a touchy subject. It is. But I think it's a valid point to make. I'm happy that that man thinks it's worth it to live. But to do it under that state, under that position, there's something distressing about that, at least. And it's sad. Maybe if I could experience music, I'd want it. You know, maybe there's a chance. Such as maybe I just end it all. I do not know. I'm not in that position. So, I've noticed how easy it is for me to have this discourse. Some people, it can be hard for them to think of new ideas. You know? I think personal growth and success is everything in life. I could have 0 subscribers. I would still be satisfied with myself. I would be kind of sad about it. Maybe a few times I end up being sad about it. But I would be satisfied with myself because the words would still be out there. And that's the point, is that at the end of the day, I would have still spoken my mind. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I think that it's a matter of the personal will, as I've always said. In this video, I've said it. It is a matter of what you choose to want is what would form itself. It's just, you think, well, why can't we do it ourselves then, and so on? Well, maybe we're more incapacitated than we think. Maybe in so many ways you're simply in a dire state. It's really when you assume bureaucracy and a life after that everything changes. And I know that people have this optimistic, flowery view of, life after that. It's almost as if they don't really want to think about what it means. It's almost as if they just want to accept it because it gives them good feelings. And there's something flawed about that. There is something off about that. Because those people might then argue, let's be more pragmatic, let's be more real, and so on. Yet they're not really considering it. And if they are considering it, which I'll say this, okay? I think they really are. Now, I'll just to change the subject up a little bit, just a little bit. I kind of sidetracked the last. Not really change the subject, but just to sidetrack the last sentence or so, or the sentence before that. I mean, fuck, because I added in a sentence, and it's like it's a useless fucking. They're useless words. I think that people really know more than they let on. And I know it's a big generalization. Say that people know more than they let on is a big generalization because, well, you're assuming a hefty load at that point. I think that people in this world are aware, the people in this world are aware of some things that they're not talking about. It's not really a paranoid thing. It doesn't have anything to do with paranoia. It's just that I suspect that people would think that maybe heaven, in the end, it's not so rosy after all. Maybe heaven is a challenge. And people want to believe in the surface level, okay? So they will say, heaven is beautiful, heaven is real, and we'll be welcomed with great joy. I mean, at that point, what does it really mean? Based on the reality of our existence, what does it really mean? Because we are some people are corrupt. Most people could be corrupt. So what does it really mean for heaven to solely be peaceful? the reality of the matter is everything. It is the truth that we experience. So I think that people, they really have, yes, I'm saying people regardless, I'm not just saying some or a few, they really have a knowledge of what is happening. Now that it plays off of their consciousness in a way where they might not literally be talking about it and writing about it and all that. But in their minds and in some ways to their own self, they would truly know. They would know what's really going on with that. They would know where they really come from. They would know that we are spiritual creatures deemed for a position in life. That sometimes it can suck and sometimes it can be great. And because sometimes it can suck, no one wants to believe that, but I think everyone believes that. So you can make of that what you will. You can call me a liar. You can think I'm telling the truth. But yeah, that's what I think. I think in that sense, there is a dire need for more honesty in the room that is never addressed because people are scared. They're scared of what is going to happen if they address the truth. So they stand by their scripted notion, their scripted perspective, and they let it be. I think that people in their heads are inherently more negative on a nearly unanimous basis than they are through their words and their actions. I think it's led to me many times, it's led to me being ditched from a friend, a friend's friendship, or me being rejected in life. Because people really had suspicions about me and they did not like those suspicions, and so they stayed clear. I mean, and therefore they stayed clear of any wrongdoing. I'm kind of being serious. Like, it reminds me of this story where a celebrity was, musicians, okay, who had a good amount of popularity, had their car be keyed twice. Now, you'd think that it would mean that celebrities would be more inherently protected and all that. I don't really believe it. In fact, I think celebrities, they're sort of scapegoats. Put on the covers, put on the evening news, put on the front page, but they're simply being influenced by people more for it, and they're maybe degrading more for it. It is an extravagant, beautiful life to live, and maybe that is the point. I think we rehearsed the meaning of life, and we just don't say it really. We allude to it, we hint to it in some ways. Through schizophrenic discourse, it might be hinted, alluded to, but then the discourse would tend to drift off in a direction that I don't agree with as much and all that. But the points would be made here and there across the world, but not really in the way that I would have liked as far as I've seen. I would have liked for someone to have put it exactly how I have. Anyways, maybe we will have a prosperous future after all. It's clear, I think it's clear reincarnation exists. We live more than this life. And schizophrenia, for me, it was a true struggle before it became more of a sham. I'm taking meds, right? I'm taking 30 milligrams of Abilify. It suits me. Probably in some way it heals me. But it's more than that. It's way more than that. And I want to say one thing. There's an innocence in keeping quiet about these things. Because, well, I think that it's a bit sad. you know. It's a bit sad to be proclaiming what I'm proclaiming because, well, we want to believe in hopeful gestures and hopeful kindness, and we want to think that there is no ulterior motive that penetrates the integrity too deeply, you know. But maybe it's simply the truth, the uncomfortable truth, the unspoken truth, regardless. Anyways, with all that said, looking forward to improve some more. Looking forward to improving some more. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting better. I hope that I can enlighten more in the future for whoever is listening. I hope that you are well. I hope you're doing well. And that's about it. Because it is getting better, my situation, despite the massive struggle I went through at some point and the diminishing but still very real struggle that I go through today. I love you. Take care and goodbye.